Good morning, everyone. Please join as we sing together, Bright Morning Stars. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to worship at First Unitarian Church of Portland, where our mission is to nurture the individual spirit and to build the beloved community. So good to be with all of you. A special welcome on this Mother's Day to all mothers in particular. Reverend Bill will share the pulpit this morning with three mothers in our community. They will offer reflections on what this day means for them. One note as we gather this day, members should have received their ballots to vote on the annual church budget, board and nominating committee candidates, as well as foundation stewards. Those ballots are due at the church office by this Thursday, May the 14th. Once again, welcome everyone. It's good to be together. Our chalice lighters this morning are three generations of the Buell and Buell Smith family, Carolyn, Dana, and Zola. If you have a chalice at home with you, I invite you to light it now. Reverend Bill will light the chalice on our chancel this morning.
We are Unitarian Universalists. We light this chalice in faith, in hope, and in love.
Mama knows. Yes, Mama knows. Yeah, no shit, your life is hard. It's an easy Sunday when you know who you are. Oh, yes, now. Ain't no sugar gonna bring you peace. No, but your mama knows just what you need. Yes, she would say, oh, oh, don't hit me with your stuff. Say you got money, you got something. Oh, oh, just hit me with your love. You ain't got love, then you ain't got nothing. Oh, oh, don't hit me with your stuff. Say you got money, you got something. Oh, oh, just hit me with your love. You ain't got love, then you ain't got nothing. Mama knows. Yes, Mama knows. It's so sweet. It's so sweet. It's so sweet. Oh, if you don't know by now, you better go ask your mama. She would say, oh, oh, don't hit me with your stuff. Say you got money, you got something. Oh, oh, just hit me with your love. You ain't got love, then you ain't got nothing. Oh, oh, don't hit me with your stuff. Say you got money, you think that that's something. Oh, oh, just hit me with your love. You ain't got love, then you ain't got nothing. Mama knows. Yes, Mama knows.
You ain't got love, you ain't got nothing. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest for truth is our sacrament, and service is our prayer. On this day, when we celebrate all those who mother, when we honor parenthood and all those who have loved us into being, let us call into this space all the ages and stages through which our lives have moved. Let us remember with gratitude all the gifts that have nurtured us and challenged us and sustained us through both the joys and the sorrows. And let us remember the love that has held us and helped us and still holds us. Come now, and let us worship together. I invite you to join us in singing Faith of Our Mothers.
Trust and grace, oh, may thy consecration prove the wellspring of a nobler race. Faith of our mothers, lavish faith, we will be true to thee till death. Faith of our mothers,
join now in our responsive reading. It's entitled Our Children by Khalil Gibran. Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you, for life goes not backward, nor tarries with yesterday. You are the bows from which your children, as living arrows, are sent forth. The archer sees the mark upon the path of the infinite, and bends you with might, that the arrows may go swift and far. Let your bending in the archer's hand be for gladness. I invite you now to sing our doxology, Spirit of Life.
Good morning. Our story for all ages this morning is Floating on Mama's Song by Laura La Camara, illustrated by Yuji Morales. My mama loves to sing. Her singing was always a happy part of everyday life. But everything changed the day after my 7th birthday. When I got home from school that day, the delicious smell of fried plantains and black beans hung in the air. Mama was singing a song from Carmen, her favorite opera. When I ran into the kitchen, I froze. Mama was floating in the air. Outside, our dog Tito was floating above the ground too. Mama stopped singing and landed with a thump. Boom, Tito fell. Mama, you and Tito were flying, I squealed. It's been happening all day, Anita, every time I sing. Singing makes me so happy. I guess Tito likes it too. We laughed as she hugged me. I wondered if my grandma knew about the amazing thing that happens when Mama sings, or Orlando, my little brother. The next day when Grandma came over for lunch, Mama was singing. Suddenly I was halfway to the ceiling, feeling a giggle in my belly as Mama's voice rose like a golden staircase. Mama held Orlando's hand as their feet swayed above the floor. Isabel, yelled Grandma, what's going on? Every time I sing, whoever hears my singing floats, Mama explained. Well, this is not right, Isabel. You must stop singing, she declared. You and the children could get hurt. And what will the neighbors say? 2 days later, 3 nosy neighbors knocked at our door. I couldn't find my pig this morning, And then I saw him floating in front of your kitchen window, shouted Mrs. Jimenez. My goat too, cried Mrs. Hernandez. I saw her flying in your yard. I heard my cow mooing from next door, whined Mrs. Gonzalez. And there she was, up in the air. Grandma turned to Mama. Isabel, you must promise never to sing again. I don't want to hurt anyone, Mama said. I promise. And that was that. But with each day that passed, Mama grew sadder and sadder. Orlando and I tried to cheer her up, but nothing seemed to work. Then the neighbors who had complained came by to visit. My cow isn't giving milk. My pig isn't eating. My goat isn't sleeping. I'm sorry about your animals, but I promised I wouldn't sing, said Mama, and the three ladies went home. Everyone was miserable. Mama wouldn't laugh or even smile anymore. Can you help her? I asked the healer who lived down the street. I will throw these coconut shells and see what they tell us, said the healer. She peered at the way the shells had fallen. There's nothing I can do. Your mama's spirit is sick. There must be a way to make Mama smile again, I thought. Just then something caught my eye. What's in that pretty box, Grandma? Old family photos, she said. Maybe you can find a picture of your Mama when she was a little girl. I opened the dusty box. It smelled sweet like sugar cane. Closing my eyes, I pulled out a photograph. It's perfect. I thanked her as I ran out the door. Mama, I shouted, I have a surprise for you. I handed her the photo. Mama's eyes opened wide. I remember when this picture was taken. The mangoes were ripe and music was in the air. You know, Anita, when I was your age, your grandma used to sing too. I can almost hear her voice now. I miss those happy times. I turned and saw Grandma. How could I forget, Grandma said. The cow got stuck high up in the mango tree. I was afraid the neighbors would find out it was my fault, so I never sang again. My heart is a bitter grapefruit. Grandma turned to Mama. All the women in our family sing, and each is granted the gift of floating when her firstborn daughter turns 7. I was foolish, Isabel. I don't want you and Anita to be like me. I wanted Grandma to be happy again. I began to sing. My silly tune made Grandma smile. Grandma started humming, and then, in a rusty voice, she started to sing. Her voice became sweeter as we both rose from the ground. Mama laughed and laughed. Her voice tumbled out like a waterfall until it became the most beautiful song. And with that, Mama sang a high note and rose up until she and Grandma touched the top of the mango tree. They laughed out loud. Now Mama sings every day. Our family is happiest when Mama sings, and we all float on Mama's song. When I was a kid, I was always surrounded by singing. It was either my mom in one room or my grandmother in the other. I have wonderful memories of playing outside, listening to my grandmother sing while she hung laundry on the line in the sunshine. We lived in Arizona. I knew all the oldies and show tunes from a young age. So ask a grandparent or elder if you don't know what those are. But when I read this story, I thought about how much singing must have brought joy to the mothers in my house. Now, as a mother myself, I find myself singing around the house all the time, and I love to sing to my children. Singing lifts my heart. In the story, do you remember how Anita's mother started to feel when she stopped singing? She became sad. The healer said her spirit was sick. Anita knew that her mother needed to start singing again to be whole and happy. What makes your mother, parent, or grown-up in your life feel happy and complete? Besides you, of course. Sometimes parents get very busy with all of the responsibilities that they have, but they don't always remember to do the things that they need to do to take care of their own hearts. We all need joy in our lives to be the very best people we can be. Think about what brings joy to the people you care about. And if you don't know, ask them. And then you might ask them, what can I do to help make sure you are able to do that thing that brings you joy? Maybe it's something that you can do together. Thank you for listening. I hope this day brings you joy.
For the month of May, we share our plate with Outside In. Since 1968, Outside In has helped to break the cycles of chronic homelessness, poverty, and poor health among those experiencing houselessness and the underserved. Outside In has risen to the challenge of continuing to support youth and marginalized people in this time of COVID-19. In addition to sharing our plate, First Unitarian is now providing space and staff support for their food pantry and free food market. It is with gratitude that we share our plate with Outside In, our longtime partner. You can click on the Donate Now button on our website. If you're listening through Boxcast, you can also click on the Give Now button. Thank you for your generosity in these times. Blessed be. This is the time each week in our service when we hold up the concerns of our community, life together. You can send a prayer request to prayer@firstunitarianportland.org. And I want to note that when you send those requests, they are anonymous. If you were in the habit of lighting a candle and submitting a prayer request when we gathered here in the sanctuary, I encourage you to light a candle at home and as you send in a prayer request to be held by our ministers and by our lay ministers. Member Ron Jamgard died on Monday at the age of 87, surrounded by his family. Ron suffered complications from surgery about 8 days before he died, and he was able to mark his birthday just 2 days before he passed. Ron and his wife Shirley joined our church in 1981. He was buried at Willamette National Cemetery on Friday, and we hold his family in these days of loss. Member Marty Brooks died on Wednesday after entering hospice care just a few weeks before. Marty had lung cancer and was able to be at her daughter's home in her last weeks. We hold Marty's family in our prayers today. And Linda Nelson and Ted Olson are pleased to share the good news that with the lifting of restrictions on elective surgery, Ted was able to have his scheduled hip surgery at Providence Hospital this past Tuesday. He's now recovering at home and doing well. We hold Linda and Ted in our prayers as well. In this space where we name the life passages of our congregation each week, it feels important that we also make space for the losses we are experiencing as a community and as a state in this pandemic. As of this week, 121 people have died of COVID-19 here in Oregon. And it's our intention to name one person each week who has died from the virus. In this naming, we name so many losses we know right now. In naming one who has died, may we recognize the loss and so many losses here in our state, in our country, and all around our world. Today we remember Lynn Bryan of Portland. He was 70 years old and died on March the 13th. He was a lifelong Oregonian who worked in a number of jobs, including map maker and city engineering technician. He was described as a cowboy at heart whose lifelong passion was dancing. We honor him and we hold his loved ones and his community and all our communities in this time. Will you pray with me now? Spirit of life and of love, God of many names and no name at all, hear our prayers this day. We begin in recognition of our interdependence on this day, Spirit, and the blessings that come with that to our lives. We recognize those in our community who are gone. We recognize in this time of pandemic the many lives, so many lives lost. We recognize on this Mother's Day the role of parents, of family, of teachers, of neighbors. We recognize how our lives are possible because of the blessings, because of the sacrifices of so many others. Be with us, Spirit, as we navigate these times. In the midst of chaos, may we know peace. In the midst of fear, may we know courage. In the midst of injustice, may we bear witness. In the midst of hate, may we know love. For all the intentions we bring, spoken and those unspoken, for all the intentions we hold that this community we create might be called beloved, we lift our voices in gratitude. We lift our voices in love. We lift our voices in hope. Amen. Let's take a few moments now to be together in silence. Please join as we sing together the 23rd Psalm.
The Lord is my shepherd, I have all I need. She makes me lie down in green meadows, beside the still waters she will lead. She restores my soul, she rights my wrongs. She leads me in the path of good things, she fills my heart with songs. Even though I walk through a dark and dreary land, there is nothing that can shake me. She has said she won't forsake me. I'm in her hand. She sets a table before me in the presence of my foes. She anoints my head with oil, and my cup overflows. Surely, surely goodness and kindness will follow me all the days of my life, and I will live in her house forever, forever and ever. Glory be to our Mother and Daughter, and to the Holy of Holies, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen.
Our reading today comes from poet Billy Collins, The Lanyard. The other day I was ricocheting slowly off the blue walls of this room, moving as if underwater from typewriter to piano, from bookshelf to an envelope on the floor, when I found myself in the L section of the dictionary, where my eyes fell upon the word lanyard. No cookie nibbled by a French novelist could send one into the past more suddenly, a past where I sat at a workbench at a camp by a deep Adirondack lake, learning how to braid long, thin plastic strips into a lanyard, a gift for my mother. I had never seen anyone use a lanyard or wear one, if that's what you did with them. But that did not keep me from crossing strand over strand again and again until I had made a boxy red and white lanyard for my mother. She gave me life and milk from her breasts, and I gave her a lanyard. She nursed me in many a sick room, lifted spoons of medicine to my lips, laid cold face cloths on my forehead, and then led me out into the airy light and taught me to walk and swim, and I, in turn, presented her with a lanyard. Here are thousands of meals, she said, and here is clothing and a good education. And here is your lanyard, I replied, which I made with a little help from a counselor. Here is a breathing body and a beating heart, strong legs, bones and teeth, and 2 clear eyes to read the world, she whispered. And here, I said, is the lanyard I made at camp. And here, I wish to say to her now, is a smaller gift, not the worn truth that you can never repay your mother, but the rueful admission that when she took the 2-toned lanyard from my hand, I was as sure as a boy could be that this useless, worthless thing I wove out of boredom would be enough to make us even.
You taught me everything, and everything you've given me, I always keep it inside. You're the driving force in my life. There isn't anything or anyone that I could be, and it just wouldn't feel right if I didn't have you by my side.
You were there for me to love and care for me when skies were gray. Whenever I was down, you were always there to comfort me. And no one else can be what you have been to me. You'll always be, you will always be the girl in my life for all time. Mama. You to know, loving you is like food to my soul. You're always down for me, have always been around for me, even when I was bad. You'd show me right from my wrong. Yes, you did. And you look up for me when everyone was downing me. You always did understand. You gave me strength to go on. There were so many times looking back when I was so afraid. And then you'd come to me and say to me, I could face anything, and no one else could do what you have done for me. You'll always be, you will always be the girl in my life, Mama.
want you to know, loving you is like food to my soul.
Never gonna go a day without you, and it fills me up just thinking about you. I'll never go a day without my mama.
Mama, you know I love you.
Ooh, you know I love you.
Mama, Mama, you're the queen of my heart. Your love is like tears from the stars. Mama, I just want you to know, loving you is like food to my soul.
Loving you is like food to my soul.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Those phrases from the Spirit of Life that we sing each week describe the tension in which so much of our living takes place. It is most certainly a tension in motherhood and in parenthood, the loving of children into adulthood. Roots hold me close, the desire to be grounded, cared for, comforted, held close. Wings set me free. Let us fly, let us go. Don't hold us back, send us forth. Help us to achieve all that we can. Help us to fulfill our dreams. Motherhood and parenthood is supposed to do both. Hold us close and set us free. It's one of the more complicated and contradictory job descriptions that I know of. And it can be fulfilled, it can be lived out in so many ways. Reverend Mary Harrington writes, "All that life is made of, mothers are made of too." Today we sing the songs of so many mothers who are single parents, foster parents, mothers who relinquish their young out of necessity, mothers who found their heart in adoption, mothers who left their children in 1,000 ways, mothers who rejoice, and mothers who mourn. And I can go on. Mothers who waited and waited for children to come, and mothers who were not ready when children did come to them. Mothers for whom parenting was the ultimate fulfillment, and mothers for whom parenting was the ultimate challenge. Every second weekend mothers, stepmothers, and mothers who live at great distance, and all of the others who have mothered us, grandmothers and aunties, teachers, church school teachers, bosses sometimes, friends often. There is no one way to mother, that is for certain. This thing we call motherhood, this container of that essential, real, and varied lived experience, that container holds so much, so many emotions. The gift of getting to deeply love a child, so much joy, but also so much struggle, so much satisfaction, so much affirmation, but also so much self-doubt and sometimes disappointment. It holds so much, that container we call motherhood. And this holiday asks us to give thanks for all of the mothering we have received. And we do give thanks, and we will give thanks. But giving thanks is, well, it's actually so much about us, those who have been mothered. It is our gratitude for what we have received. We may, like that young boy who made the lanyard in our reading, we may get to gratitude and even to an understanding that there is no getting even, no balancing of the books, even with the gift of a lanyard. But what this Sunday can miss is the real experience of motherhood, the truth of it, or better said, the many truths of motherhood. So this Mother's Day, I invited 3 mothers to share some of their experience of motherhood. Not the Hallmark version, but the real stories. With some hard truths, I give you fair warning, but with a great deal of love. Perhaps it is the state of the world that made me shape this service this way. Perhaps it is the yearning for more truth, more truths in our public life and in our lives together. One of the missions of this church is to search for truth and defend it. And these mothers so very generously were willing to share some of the truth of their lives and some of their love. Now, 3 stories do not come close to portraying all that motherhood is, of course. All 3 of these women are relatively privileged, like many, but not all of us, and their experience is shaped by their social location. And though they are all female identified, some parts of their stories push pretty hard on the traditional gender roles. I do not present them as covering the full range of experience of motherhood, but these stories, well, they may at least make the point that there are many open-hearted, mother-loving ways to mother. Getting to hear these stories has been a privilege for me. I hope it will be for you as well.
Good morning. My name is Gilda, and as a daughter and a mother and an OBGYN doctor, I've thought a lot about mothering and about female bodies. Parenting can be done well by so many, but a female body creates one unique form of mother, which is the biological form of motherhood. Maybe those who birth children live closer to Mother Nature due to their body's powerful acts of pregnancy, birth, and nursing. As a doctor, I often told my expectant patients that having a child was a unique chance to experience their connection to nature and to their bodies, and I recommended that they fully embrace that. I myself wasn't sure I wanted to be a parent. Then I experienced infertility, loss of an advanced twin pregnancy, and finally a successful childbirth. Through all of this, I felt more connected to Mother Earth and to life. I also felt more connected to death and grief. These were all gifts which were grounded in my feminine body. Before I became a mom, I was career-focused. I knew very little about parenting. I remember my sister telling me that when she didn't know what to do as a mom, she tried to imagine what a gorilla mother might do. They didn't teach me that in medical school or in my OBGYN training, but it was great advice. What gorilla parenting meant to me was something like what's currently called attachment parenting. Because of the timing of a cross-country move, I didn't go back to work till my child was a year old. Then I went back to work slowly, mostly staying home until she was 5. I was very close to my daughter, and I was surprised to find I didn't want to re-enter that workaholic world and leave her. I nursed her on demand with a natural shift towards feeding more solid food and less breastfeeding over time until she quit the breast at age 3. I loved carrying her on my body often, and she slept near me. My situation allowed for this, but it's definitely not what every parent can do or even wants to do. Children are raised well in so many different ways. Being a biological child from a female body is just one type of connection. Closeness and touch are integral to all parenting, and I honor that. For me personally, it was an incredible gift to be in my body, connecting deeply through it to my child. I got to experience one form of mother and child living in natural harmony. It changed me, and I'm grateful. So what about parenting? We know that gender doesn't predict good parenting. Growing up, my parents split their work along traditional lines. Mom was a powerhouse stay-at-home maker, and my dad was gone all day to work. But my dad had tons of nurturing energy, which his kids longed to experience more often than we could. My mom had huge intellectual skills, which were underutilized at home. Later, my mom went back to work, but my parents didn't alter their roles. She nearly collapsed under the weight of both her old homemaking job and her new job outside the home. There was abundant love, but the patriarchal values nearly wrecked the happiness of our family. Watching that unfold showed me the true cost of sexism. I was a feminist from then onward. I was a feminist who loved men and wanted family life, but understood there would be challenges along that road. My parents showed me how it could be done beautifully, in spite of difficulty. They had an enduring, loving, and mutually supportive 60-year partnership. This Mother's Day, so I want to honor women's bodies, mothering, and good parenting. Let's remember Mother Nature who births us all. Let's resist sexist patterns and celebrate flexibility, new paradigms, communication, empathy, and love. The Unitarian Universalist philosophy is beautiful in embracing all forms of family, and I celebrate this community. Happy Mother's Day to us all. Thank you.
There is so much about motherhood I didn't know when I became a mother. There are so many things that no one tells you. Aside from all that happens to your body when you're carrying a baby and what happens to your body after delivery, let alone that once that baby is born, your whole self is reduced only to milk-filled breasts and nurturing arms, at least for a while. I didn't truly understand that once I was a mother, my formative layer of needs and wants would be covered by the layer of my children's needs and wants, layered over again with the demands of my full-time job, and layered over yet again with the responsibilities of being an adult in the world at large. These heavy and complex layers pressing down on top of each other until the layer on the bottom with my needs and wants is so flattened and suffocated that I lose touch with what they are, until they rage up and out of me with such intensity that I can no longer ignore them. I didn't understand that this imposition would be subtle, that I would almost need to fight so as not to give myself up, that the gaslight would be on when I recognized this and acted in protest, and that by allowing myself to be imposed upon in this way, the available space for me would be constantly eaten up, my own preferences overrun. The things that my children want become what I get by default. Is it selfish to want for myself, separate from my children? Why is it unacceptable to want for myself? Why is the mother figure so often the one most loved, revered, and appreciated, but also the one most reviled, abused, taken for granted? I mean, don't get me wrong. I love my children more than I can describe. And of course, motherhood is love and responsibility, exhausting and exhilarating. And it's also essential. We are all here because someone mothered us. This is necessary work. A mother's guidance, of course, is irreplaceable. And so, it's vital for me to find balance through compassion. Compassion for myself so that I can continue to care for others. Motherhood is non-stop. There are always too many things to do and not enough time to do them all. There is the constant triage of prioritizing the most important things, the constant weighing of what needs attention right now and what can wait. How do I access compassion for myself in the midst of all this? How do I keep it front and center? How do I prioritize my own emotional resilience so that I can get what I need in order to be there for those who rely on me? When even the gift of possible communion with other mothers comes at the expense of giving something else up from the top of the list. To top it off, through the constant exhaustion, I know that there are so many precious moments, and I struggle to appreciate these despite being too tired to do so properly, because time goes so fast, and before you know it, your children are grown and can't go back. But meanwhile, just trying to keep up, I find myself really struggling to get far enough down that list to my own needs and wants, because so many other things need attention right now. If this journey of motherhood is unfolding, reflecting, correcting, and trying to do better each day, then maybe I can take my path someplace new. Maybe I can make the revolutionary step of valuing time for myself so that I can be a better mother to my children. Imagine that. Rest and self-care as revolutionary. For mothers, I say, it's about time. Time to give all your layers the attention they need.
Eight years ago, I met Connor. We fell in love, and quickly I had babies on my mind. We were married in Elliott Chapel in July 2014 and started trying to build a family shortly thereafter. And it didn't come easily. Each month was a challenge, the hope that this month would be different, followed by the disappointment when it wasn't. After about a year, we decided we needed help. I saw my primary care physician, then a fertility specialist. The diagnosis, unexplained infertility. Despite the diagnosis, we kept trying. I was so frustrated, hurt, angry. The harder I tried, the less well things worked. Infertility was hard on me, my marriage, and it rocked my faith. I felt intense jealousy as friends would quickly become pregnant. Why was it so hard for us? Was it not meant to be? These were everyday thoughts for me during this very hard period. There were months at a time when we took a break from trying. People would also always say, when you stop trying, it will happen. For us, that just was not the case. After another year or so, Connor and I decided to get help from the fertility clinic. With medical intervention, we received our first good news, a positive pregnancy test, followed quickly by a crushing miscarriage. 3 months later, this time without help, I received another positive pregnancy test. Again, another miscarriage. Connor and I were devastated. We took a long break after those blows. Finally, in December 2018, after much thought and consideration, we decided it was time to get serious. In January 2019, we started IVF, an expensive, invasive, last-ditched effort to become parents. We completed 2 rounds of IVF. The result, 3 frozen embryos, 3 tries to become parents. On July 1st, 2019, we found out the first embryo transfer worked. I was not out of the woods, though. At 38 years old and with previous miscarriages, I was nervous. We kept up with the daily injections, and finally, I was in the 2nd trimester. I began to breathe more easily. We started telling family and friends that I was pregnant. The next few months went quickly. Blessedly, my pregnancy was very smooth. On March 6th, after a long and scary labor, we welcomed Josephine Alice to the world. She has brought so much joy to our lives already. I feel so fortunate to finally be a mom after so many years of wanting this. Having Josephine at the beginning of the COVID pandemic has brought a different early experience with parenthood for us. Our family and friends have not been able to visit for the most part. Josephine is getting to know her grandparents over FaceTime. So much for no screen time. What has been steady throughout has been the support of my choir friends from First Church. First in the chamber choir and now in the women's choir, the choirs have provided support throughout my journey to become a mom. I shared my miscarriages, failed fertility treatments, and finally my joy of the sustained pregnancy with the choirs. Now, on any given Wednesday, you will find me and Josephine participating in a Zoom meetup with the women's choir. These choirs and the people that make them up have provided non-judgmental support during some of the most difficult times of my life. And now I'm also able to share my happiness too. I feel so thankful that I'm a mom. I also stand with all the women and people who have wanted to be parents, but it hasn't worked for some reason or another. These holidays can be hard. I see you.
Gilda, Heather, Maggie, thank you so much for bringing your stories into the story we share on this holiday. Your honesty and your love and the truth of your lives are gifts that we can all treasure. Motherhood and parenthood, the raising up and the letting go of children, these are acts of service and in some sense acts of sacrifice, but they are not selfless. Mothers, however well or poorly they may live out their role, mothers put so much of the truth of themselves into being mothers. It is life work for which the reward is letting go, independence of the children who grow to become parents themselves, or not, but it's letting go. Roots hold us close. Wings set us free. There is no repaying, no balance sheet that can be made to come out equal. For the gift of mothering we have received, all we can offer is our gratitude and our love. Our gratitude and our love. But perhaps gratitude and love are more than enough. Happy Mother's Day. Will you pray with me now? Spirit of life and of love, strong Mother God, working night and day, planning all the wonders of creation, setting each equation, genius at play. On this day we offer our praise and thanks to all those who mother, all those who have mothered us. In the words of Mary Harrington, there is a kind of love that we cannot live without. It is the kind of love that leaves us feeling ourselves known, feeling ourselves cherished, feeling ourselves found, no matter how lost we may be. It is the kind of love that cannot be repaid because payment is not required. It is the kind of love that holds us close and also sets us free. May the day come soon when relatives and friends, those who mother and those who are mothered, can be together physically once again without fear, when we can hold one another just as the love we share holds us. On this day, we offer our gratitude, our thanks, and our praise. Strong Mother God, you know the truth. You have taught us the truth, that we are all part of the story of life, the movement of life through generation after generation, made possible by the presence of your love and your commitment to all that is our life. We offer our thanks and praise for your love and for all that is our life. Thank you to all who mother, all who hold us close and set us free. Amen. I invite you to join now in singing For All That Is Our Life.
Which we are called to use to build the common good. Make our own days glad.
For needs which others serve, for services we give, for work and its rewards, for hours of rest and love, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life.
For sorrow we must bear, for failures, pain, and loss, for each new thing we learn, for fearful lives that pass, we come with praise and thanks. For all that is our life.
For all that is our life, we sing our thanks and praise. For all life is a gift which we are called to use to build the common good and make our own days glad.
There is a kind of love that we cannot live without. It is a love that will not let us go. And the miracle, yes, the miracle, is that we can offer that love to one another. Glory be to the Mother, and to the Daughter, and to the Holy of Holies. Glory be to the parents, and to the children, generation after generation. Love without end. This is the day we have been given. Let us rejoice in it and be glad. Go in peace, practice love. Amen.
Amen.